Hey everybody, welcome back to the van. Well, it's a beautiful day here in southern Alberta. It's 10 degrees, but it's extremely windy. And as I'm doing this, you'll see me look outside every once in a while because a lot of stuff's blowing by. I think the winds are 70 to 90 k, that's kilometers per hour, which would make them, 60 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. And every once in a while something blows by and I'm trying to figure out what the heck that was that blew by. Yesterday was an amazing day here. It was warm. I think it got up to 13 or 14 degrees Celsius. And I took the van and headed over and hung out with my grandson for the day. We used the van as our base, and I took it over to the park and brought some stuff over in it, some food and water and everything. And we hung out and played for the day. And when we got hungry or we needed to rest or we needed to get out of the wind that there was, we headed back to the van and we used the van. I love doing stuff like that. And he thinks it's cool that Grandpa can bring his house wherever and that Grandpa has everything in his house, including food. So I wanted to talk a little bit here about the conversion I did to LED lights, why I did it, and what the results were. Now, this is specific to a 2017 Ford Transit. Newer Ford Transit comes with LED lights, from what I understand. Older Ford Transits, and I don't know what year it is, probably won't have the same problem because the computer system is different in them. And different vans as well will have different responses or different issues. So why did I convert? Well, first of all, I converted because I found that the LED lights that I have on my Subaru made it much easier for me to see when driving at night. And with the van, it's not bad for driving at night. It's got good headlights on it, but I wanted a whiter light. And so I figured I'd put the LED lights on. So I went out and I bought a set of the H11s and the 9005s and put in the van. The 9005s are the high beams. The H11s are the low beams. Put them in. They work great until I turned the van on. And then I got an error saying that the headlights were burnt out. And I went, oops, that's a problem. Now, I contacted the store I bought them from. I bought them from a store here in Canada called Canadian Tire. And I was told I needed an anti-flicker load device. And all it was a box that you put in line, and it causes the vehicle to think that there is something there. Even though the lights are lower voltage, the box draws a bit more voltage or a bit more amperage or whatever it is, and it causes the van to think that everything is fine. So I went out and bought that, installed that, and nothing. The light still worked, but I still got the error. So I contacted Sylvania, whose headlights I had bought, the LED ones, and they told me that, nope, they have a specific device I had to buy. So I went out and ordered that, got that, installed that, and still got the error. So I made the decision that I really don't need the LED lights. I want a whiter light. So I left the high beam LEDs in, which seemed to work fine, and I returned the low beam LEDs and all the stuff I had to buy with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to buy a whiter halogen light to put in my headlights. Now that brings me to the next thing. Why do I don't think that I need the brighter headlights and everything? Well, it comes down to this. Now, I don't know if you can hear the train, but I'm parked close to a train track and the train's going by. You're living in a van. You're spending time in a van, an ambulance, an RV, a bus, whatever it is, a truck camper. You technically don't have to drive that at night. Now, a car, if you head to the mountains in the daytime and you have a car and you have nothing in it except for some food, you're going to have to drive back at night. With my van, I go to the mountains today, and if the weather turns bad or if I run a little bit late, I really don't have to drive back at nighttime. I can just sleep in my van. That's what I've got it for. It's got everything I need, so I can just stay in my van. So why? Why do I need more powerful lights or brighter lights when I don't have to drive at night in this thing? The only reason I wanted it was in case I had to drive at night. In case I needed to go someplace and I had to return at night for a meeting the next day. That's the only reason. But honestly, you don't need them because you don't have to drive at night. And I talked about this in the video I did about snow tires or about tires. I don't understand these people who go out and they get their vehicle ready for the apocalypse with big tires, with all these light bars and everything, and then they drive it at 10 a.m., and they drive it for a couple hours, and then they spend the rest of the day in it, and then they get up the next morning and drive it again. You're not driving at night, so why do you have all these lights on it? You're not driving in the snow. You don't have to drive in the snow. So why are you putting these big snow tires on it and lifting it and all this? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I want to talk a little bit here about the light bars that seem to be so popular on vans and trucks and everything like that, and just some of the good and bad about it. Now, first, I think they look cool. I really do. I've had some vehicles with different lights on it and stuff, and I think they look really cool. But let's go from a practical point of view, as if you're putting them on a van that you're living in or that's camperized, or you're putting them on a truck camper, or you're putting them on a bus or an ambulance or whatever that's fully camperized. Do you actually need them? The answer is no, because you don't technically have to drive at night. And this always astounds me that these guys go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars to put on 2 massive lights on the roof of their vehicle, light bars in the front of their vehicle. They put lights on the pillars on the side of their vehicle. They put rock lights on their vehicle. They put other lights down below. Why? For what purpose? You don't need to drive at night. I don't know many van people who do drive at night or have to drive at night. I don't know many campers that have to drive at night. I don't know many people who live in buses or RV. It's anything. Why do you have to have all these lights on it? So, first of all, that's my first thing. Second thing is, all these people who put major light bars on the roof of their vehicles, do you actually know what you're doing? First, again, you don't need to drive at night. So why do you have 60,000 watts of power on the roof of your vehicle? Do you really think you need it? You're not driving at night, so why? Is it for the looks? Is it for the status? The other question is, have you ever driven with a light bar on the roof or lights on the pillars in a snowstorm, in a rainstorm, in fog, in dust, in sand? They don't work. If you have lights up high, it creates a whiteout condition. In fact, your best lights to have on is the lowest lights on your vehicle, not the highest one, especially the highest ones if they're massive and there's tons of power to them. You won't be able to see. So if you think that your light bars on the roof is going to get you through a snowstorm, think again. They don't work. If you think your light bars on the roof is going to get you through a driving rainstorm, they won't. It'll make it worse. So before you go out and spend the money, just like when I talked about solar panels on the roof, before you go out and spend the money for these massive light bars, think about why you're getting them. Think about what they're going to do. They don't do what most people think they're going to do. They really don't. They look cool. I'll give you that. It's like a snorkel. Why put a snorkel on a van that you drive on paved roads all the time? Why put a snorkel on a van that you're not, and the purpose of a snorkel is for dust and everything, that you're not driving through the desert? Do you know how much hassle it is to keep the filters clean? Do you know the problems that are associated with it? Headlights or light bars are the same thing. It's better to use your headlights in a rainstorm, or if you have very low fog lights or driving lights, than it is to use anything that's above the hood. So think why you're doing it before you do it. If it's for looks, go for it. If you think it's practical, think again. Get some lower lights, go for it. But again, think, I'm living in my van. Do I need to drive for 18 hours at night? Oh no, I don't. I'm living in my van. Do I need to drive in a big snowstorm, or can I just pull off the roadway? You can just pull off. It's raining like crazy. Do I need to rush to get somewhere else? Well, probably not. You could pull off and have something to eat in your van and wait for the rain to stop. So before you go out and get all these lights, before you spend all the money, before you get all the hassles associated with them, really think whether you need them or not. Chances are you probably don't need them. And for me, the only reason I was putting the brighter LEDs in the headlights was in case I have to use this at night, in case I have to go to Calgary for a doctor's appointment and I need to get home and I've taken the van up and it's now dark at night. But honestly, here in southern Alberta, it doesn't get dark now until 6 o'clock. In another month, it won't be dark until 8 o'clock. At that point, do I really need the lights at all? Because once summer hits, it's not dark until 9 or 10 o'clock. And do I really need the lights at that point? I can always take one of my other vehicles. Or if I really can't drive, I could have just pulled off. But I do like the whiter LED lights. That's my little splurge for this spring. So until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Think before you build and enjoy your build once you get it done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.